Hi everyone, I'm Dara. Thanks for clicking on my video. Today I want to pull out another work in progress, or rather shelved project. Maybe UFO is a better word. This is a quilt that I started last year to take to my yoga class. I really wanted to try the Kawandi style of quilting, which is making a quilt with no batting and sewing your piecing right onto the backing. I did start a video about this quilt, and I will put some of that video in here so you can see what I was doing. The fabric that I decided I wanted to try and use are like scarves, pashminas. I had a few of my own and then I thrifted some because I thought they're really soft and that might be a fun thing to experiment with. But as it turns out, they fray like crazy, even though they're polyester. They are washable. I did wash them before I started the project. But they do fray like crazy, and with my hand stitching, I had a lot of spots that were already coming apart before I even progressed to finishing the piecing. So I thought I would try my trusty machine and see if it can rescue this project and I can still have a quilt to take to yoga. So if you'd like to see what I'm going to do with this project, keep watching and I'll show you. Here's the progress I've made in the last couple of days on my yoga quilt. I had already cut strips for my pashminas, so I didn't have too many big pieces, or I don't have any big pieces left to fill up the middle. But what I've done is just put strips to reduce the amount of sewing. And I think it looks okay. One thing. All right, there it is, my very last patch on this yoga quilt that I'm making. It got quite a bit more difficult to sew it as I approached the center because essentially I'm sewing it flat on the table instead of, you know, bunching it up in my hands. And this, I did try bunching to a certain extent, but oh man, you have to be so careful not to catch this fabric. It's very free and delicate. So, I mean, this is an experiment, and I'm still going to use this quilt for my yoga class, and I'm really glad I tried it. So you don't have to. If you're going to try something like this, I really like the 2 layers, one flannel layer and one fabric layer, but I don't like working with this acrylic pashmina fabric. Try something else. I would say maybe t-shirt fabric or just regular cotton. Maybe there's like softer cotton, I think it's called lawn, would be nice too, a nice weight. So now, as I've kind of committed to myself that I want to finish my UFOs or make a decision about them before I move on to a new project, I need to address this. Okay, so I have finished doing all my machine stitching. At least once over every edge. Some edges are twice, just because I was backing up and going in another direction. Here is a view of what it looks like on the right side. And this is the wrong side. I kind of like that Frankenstein appearance on the wrong side. It's kind of funky. It seems a shame that all that hand sewing is now covered up with machine sewing, but here's one here that is still unstitched. I'll go back over that later. And it took a heck of a lot of thread. So I had these 2 spools that my daughter thrifted for me, and there's what I started with on this one, and there's what I have left. 6 bobbins and about 2 afternoons. So I could stop there. But I was really attracted to the visible running stitch on the Kawandi inspired style of quilting. So I'm going to try some in some of the, I think in these long sections that I did here. stitching done on one of my interior panels, and I'm not in love with it. So, but I got to be careful because for two reasons. I don't want to run out of gas, and I don't want to be tempted to shelve the quilt again. However, I don't think I either have to take this out or add at least to the rest of these. So I'm going to do another one, and I'm going to go like this and see if, like, I know it's not meant to be perfect, so I'm okay with the imperfections. I just don't know if I like the busyness of it. So you guys let me know in the comments what you think and if you would keep going or take it out. Stitching, I finished that stitching on these 4 long sections of the quilt, and this is what it looks like on the reverse. I do have some puckering in some places, and boy, if there is any way to take the joy out of sewing, it's to start with the mindset of this is going to go quickly, because it didn't go quickly. I've been at it for, I'm going to say, about a week and a half, thinking every day that I sat down for a couple of hours to sew, I'll be done this afternoon. This will be my last session. And really, I wasn't. Whereas if I had have just attacked it like, you know, this is just my sewing project right now, I probably would have been much happier and enjoyed the process much more. So I am going to stop with the hand stitching there. I've been using embroidery floss to do this hand stitching, and I believe that the style of this quilting, the entire quilt should be stitched like this. This is finished enough for my yoga class. I think it's going to serve its purpose. It was a great experiment. I know now, that fragile fabrics are very difficult to work with, and even though it's a really soft quilt, this style of quilt, I'm glad I've experienced it, but I now know that I don't need to do it again. I mean, one of the saddest parts of this quilt is the thought that all this was already stitched and I had to go back over my stitching with my machine. So that just feels so depressing. All right, here is my finished quilt. I'm actually surprised it's kind of effective as a whole picture. I've been focused on it, you know, close up while I'm doing my stitching. And then when I see it spread out like this, I like it a lot more than I thought I was gonna like it. So that's a good news story. Here's the back of my quilt. I'm actually loving that whole Frankenstein appearance. I don't know if I love this part, but it's, you know, it's still going to be soft enough to use. And, you know, the back is not the point. Certainly, I think, you know, with this stitching, I think the contrast is way more effective than the blended. And it does land a certain interesting texture. If you've made it to the end of the video, I appreciate you staying with me. And I hope that my, you know, somewhat turbulent journey with this quilt will help you decide if you would like to try an experiment, and maybe there's some pitfalls and things that I ran into that will help you not run into something similar. Let me know in the comments if you've ever made an experimental project and how it turned out, and if you're using it anyway, faults and all.